Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. This is the Dragon Whisperer, and we are back with the Sunday podcast. Sorry I missed you guys last weekend, but I did a reptile show, and I just could not get back and get the podcast going in time. I just could not get. Oh, sorry. Back and get the podcast going in time. Just could not get. Kill us. Rookie mistakes. Let's kill that backup feedback there. I've got Sansa here, one of my big mama crested geckos. Big shout outs to Madam Star, Soda Pop Fizz. I don't know who else. Oh, Brainstorm Homeschool Academy. Very glad you just joined because I was going to send you a message here. I meant to send it yesterday, but I got carried away. Aurora has, I don't know why I can't think of her name, but Aurora has done her pre-lay shed, and she is definitely going to be laying eggs in the next 30 days or so, maybe 35 at the most. So we will be having ball python baby soon. So you guys, I will stay in touch and keep you guys abreast as soon as she lays her clutch. She's got a little mark on her crest right here. No, it's just one little black spike. That's kind of weird. Because she's not a Dalmatian. She doesn't have any other black spots on her really anywhere. But, so I know we got Brainstorm, we got Soda Pop Fizz, Madam Star. Hopefully some more people will join. And like always, you guys have reptile care questions or anything you want to share about your animals, please hit me up in the chat. Do have some exciting news. I had some more crested gecko babies hatch, so we've got 5 crested gecko babies now here at Tar Heel Exotics growing out, and also new baby Savannah Monitor. I might get out here later on in the chat. It almost looks like she's watching the live stream on the television, but this is a big chunky girl, but she's really docile and really doesn't mind being handled, and she doesn't get very jumpy. That's great, Brainstorm, eating the food out of the bowl. That's so exciting when you have dragons or reptiles or any kind of animal that you're having problems eating a certain way, and especially if you've been working at it. Whenever you hit those milestones and those things happen, it's so crazy. I unfortunately don't have children of my own, so I can't relate. I can imagine, but I can't relate to what it feels like when your child takes their first steps, or holds their bottle on their own, or takes their first bites of food on their own, but with a knife and fork and those type of developmental things. But I get to see them happen in my reptiles, and it's so rewarding. So rewarding. So we got 4 people here. Thanks for everybody that's watching. I'd love to know what you guys have. Everybody that's in the chat, Soda Pop Fizz and Brainstorm. I don't remember exactly. I know you guys have just got a new dog, but if anybody wants to list the animals that they have, I'd love to know what you guys keep at home. Always curious what other people have in their collections. If anybody else has Leachianus, please let me know, because I've had monitor lizards, and I've been bitten by my bearded dragons a few times, all through faults of my own. But my female Leachianus is very, very ornery, and they can bite so hard, and it's my one animal that's got me kind of shook up lately with handling her, because I'm afraid of her biting me. She's very, very, very aggressive. Berms and boas. I'm kind of jealous. I just got a customer of mine a call line golden doodle. I just got a customer of mine a call line albino male boa, and it was so incredibly beautiful with the yellows and pinks, and it was just the most docile, cool. It loved to be handled. A customer's super happy, but I'm jealous now. If I can find another one that looks and acts like that one, I would love to add a boa like that in my collection. She's getting antsy, so I'm gonna throw her back in her tank really quick. All right. So do you brainstorm? Do you ever find? Do you keep the cat like separate from the bearded dragon, or does it ever? Um, does the cat ever try to get at the dragon's cage or its tank? Because I've heard a lot of horror stories about cats and lizards. I'm just curious if you ever have that experience with yours. But I am super excited that if you guys watched my videos, Dingo Dinkelman, he has got a channel back up. It's called Dingo Dinkelman Reloaded, I believe. But he is back on YouTube, so that is really exciting. And also, I'm really excited to share this with you guys. The birthday party thing is really starting to take off. I booked a couple more birthday parties, and the whole experience of taking the animals to the children's homes and seeing 10, 15, 20 kids and their parents interact with the animals, and a lot of times it's the first time they've ever seen some of these animals, and 90% of the time, first time any of them have held any of these animals. And I really feel like it's really important for getting not only people's fear, but just educating them on how popular these animals are, and what we can do to make sure that we're able to continue to have them in our homes and keep them. Um, oh, that's cool. That's really cool. So I've heard a lot of people's dogs and bearded dragons getting along really well, but I've heard some horror stories about people's cats getting in their dragon cage and trying to kill the dragon, doing some damage. But that's awesome. I mean, a lot of it has to do with whether they grow up together and how much they're around each other. Um, yeah, thank you, Madam Star. And it's really cool too because I take my my YouTube kind of vlog setup, and I set it up at their house somewhere where it can get a good perspective of the interaction with me and the kids, and I video a lot of it, and then I usually try to put it on YouTube. Um, that's funny. See, my dog, she's the coolest when it comes to reptiles. She's totally like she just could care less for the most part, and but when the dragons are out running around in my room, she walk up to them and they nose bump each other, and the dragons always kind of try to lick her in the face. It's kind of funny. But they do nose bump each other a lot when the dragons are out. And you guys, just in case you didn't know today, I don't want to spoiler alert for anybody, but my Tar Heels, we've had a great month, or at least the last 4 weeks or so. Obviously, we knocked off Duke at Duke in their last home game against the Tar Heels during Coach K's last season, and then we also knocked off number one seed in our bracket, Baylor, the other night with 30 points from Caleb Love, and today we won another big game, and we are going to the Final Four and are going to meet Duke again. So just big season for the Tar Heels right now, and I'm super excited. In case you guys don't know, it's like in my life, God, my family, and then Tar Heel basketball and Reptiles are really, really close. They're fighting for that third place spot. So anyway, if there's anybody out there that's a Tar Heel fan, shout outs. 5 people watching. I know the 3, Soda Pop Fizz, Madam Star, and Brainstorm. The other people that are watching, if you'll give me a shout out in the chat, let me know who you are. I'd love to find out more about you, what animals you got, if this is your first time watching, and if you guys are in North Carolina, there is upcoming bans to a lot of animals. I am desperately trying to get my hands on a really nice captive bred. Well, I mean, all of them for the most part are captive bred, but right now, actually, a tegu. Let me just go and jump to the point. A tegu, black and white Argentine tegu. I had one before. Her name was Groot. I was having some financial difficulties at the time, and I'm not too proud to talk about that. And Groot was in a 4x2x2, which is a big enclosure, but it was really time for Groot to go to something bigger, like a 6 foot or 8 foot enclosure. I could not afford the money, and like if I knew I could do it in the coming months, it'd been one thing. But at the time, I didn't really have an answer to when my finances were going to free up, and I wasn't going to just be in limbo with my plan for Groot. So I met this really cool gentleman, Tim, that lived close by. He's done a video with me on my channel. He has retics and berms. He has huge enclosures. He has this really nice full-size basement area that he's converted into this really nice reptile kind of sanctuary. And he had the ability to give Groot a really big, nice home. And unfortunately, right when he got Groot, she went into brumation. So the first 3 or 4 months he had her, she was sleeping. But now she's on his Intrepid Exotics channel. A lot of his thumbnails, Groot's are wrapped around his shoulders, or she's climbing on him when he's talking in his video, and I'm so freaking jealous. Just seeing her. I mean, I know she's in a great home, but seeing how great she turned out, how calm and docile she is so puppy dog tame, and she's so beautiful, and I'm jealous, and I cannot wait to get me another tegu, but I want to make sure it's a really, really nice tegu. And what's one thing that's crazy is that me being in the hobby now and being on the breeder and seller side, and I go to the reptile shows, and I sell animals that I breed and produce myself, but I also sell animals that I get from other quality breeders that are looking for other markets for their animals, or just have more than they can sell at their local shows. And especially if the guy doesn't have a brick and mortar store to sell his animals, and he's got a lot of breeding projects coming in at the same time, it's more animals that he can take and transport to the show, and it's more animals he has to feed while they're growing up. So it gives people like me that aren't big enough yet to be able to breed a lot of animals. I don't have a big enough facility. I mean, at some point I'd love to have a huge place and be breeding black dragons and monitors and all that kind of stuff. I mean, my dreams have no end when it comes to what I would like to do when it comes to raising and breeding and having a lot of different reptiles in my life. But anyway, for the time being, that provides me a good source of really good quality animals. And what's amazing is that the price of tegus has went up, which now that I'm involved in the business, I pay a lot. I monitor a lot of websites and keep track of what the certain prices of what certain animals are going for. And a lot of times it's not so much as what people are asking for and what they're actually selling for, which takes a lot more research to find out. But the price of tegus has either in a lot of places stayed the same or went up, which doesn't make much sense, being the fact that you would think the supply is way higher than the demand right now, because Georgia or at least South Carolina and Florida have banned them, and North Carolina's next on the list. So you would think people would be having supplies they would need to get rid of before these bans come into effect, but it's for some unknown reason the tegu prices have went up, and maybe that is because they know people are on a time crunch to get them, and they're not going to have any choice, which is kind of sad that people do that. But all the tegus I can find now that are good quality are way more than they were just like 6 months ago. So, but I will have another tegu soon. I'm excited to have Jax. I've named my new monitor Jax, and I do have a adult pair of leopard geckos that are Tremper giants. I mean, the male's over like, well, I know right now they banned the tegus in August, and then there's some other animals on the list. You have to go to the North Carolina Wildlife, or maybe it's the Fish and Game website, but they've limited the number of collection of some species, and there's a couple of other species that have been banned. I want to say there's crocodilians on there, but I don't want to misspeak. I just know I saw tegus, and supposedly there's maybe a provision for people that are registered, like my company Tar Heel Exotics is registered with the state Secretary of State, Tar Heel Exotics LLC, and with the federal government. We have like a EI EIN, an employer identification number, if I was to ever have employees, so I could report their taxes. And I know that uh, there's supposedly maybe provision that breeders and dealers will still be able to possess and maybe sell tegus, like be able to ship them to buyers out of state. But of course, even then, you wouldn't be able to sell to people inside North Carolina. So I really would like to have a male female pair so that, 20, 25 years down the road, if my kids or my grandkids, if I ever have kids one day, or my nieces and nephews' kids or my brother and sister's kids want tegus, I'll be able to have something that I produce. So, because yeah, you're not gonna be able to buy them in the state. You're not gonna be able to sell them, and you're not gonna be able to buy them outside the state and have them shipped in. So, if you do have a tegu, if you're not breeding it, then once it passes away, then you won't ever have a tegu again either. So, which is kind of sad. It's really sad that we have politicians. I don't want to get on the soapbox, but we have politicians that are passing these laws that really not based on science, which has happened a lot in our country lately. It's based on a lot of media hype and fear. This guy letting this spitting king cobra get loose in Raleigh was probably the entire motivation for this tegu ban and other species being looked at for being banned in North Carolina. And I don't know if you guys follow Brass Man Reptiles or Rob. It's Creeping It Real. They both used to work with Kevin McCurley at Nerd up in New England. Who Kevin McCurley is like the Dr. Doolittle of our generation. And both of those guys are incredible. Jeremy Sturgeon and Rob, and they do a reptile podcast, and Jeremy gets on his Instagram a lot, and I've never heard somebody that can rant so passionately about what's happening in our hobby and what's happening with the legislation. I mean, Jeremy loves this hobby, and he gets so fired up about not just the legislation, but about us keepers and us breeders that don't do what we can do to stop this legislation. If you haven't went to the USARC website and looked at what's happening with the American Competes Act and the reptile legislation that's buried deep in this American Competes Act, the legislation is, I'm sure, thousands of pages long, and it mostly deals with different stuff in the United States, like the infrastructure bill, those type of things. But buried deep in there, there's some changes to the Lacey Act. Now, why they buried this legislation that has to do with reptiles deep in this other bill with a lot of other stuff is, it's just kind of dirty and underhanded to begin with. And I know they probably thought no one would notice it, but thank God that we have USARC and people like them that are constantly watchdogs for this type of thing. And they blew the whistles, they sounded the alarms, but unfortunately this bill had already passed the House of Representatives. It passed like 214 to 204 or something, and now it's before the Senate. I'm not sure what part of the process it is in the legislation, but you guys, if this legislation passes, a lot of animals are going to be banned, and you're going to have to basically prove an animal is safe and cannot become invasive and could not really be a danger to the public to get it on a list where it is allowed. So whereas now we have black lists where animals are banned, if this new legislation passed, we're going to have white lists where instead of certain animals being banned, animals are going to have to be proven to be okay and then put on the list for you to be able to have it. So, and who knows what's going to happen with animals that you already own that aren't on these lists. It's just going to be a catastrophe if this legislation passes. So, if you're not a member of USARC, I'm a member. I think it's $40 for the bronze membership. You get a T-shirt and some stickers and stuff. But that's not even the big deal. The big deal is you're helping them fight this kind of legislation. But if you go to their website, they literally have done all the work for you. They have addresses for all of your senators. There's no point in writing your congressman or calling them because it's already passed the House of Representatives. It's already through with that part of the process. So it's in the Senate now, but they have all the addresses for all the senators for whatever state you're in. You go down to your state, it has your 2 senators' addresses, and then they have literally form letters that say like, "Dear so and so, your senator's name. Insert your senator name here. I represent the reptile community. My name is so and so. I'm greatly opposed to this legislation." I mean, they literally, it's like an opinion type deal about the way you feel about the legislation. Is very well worded. It's not threatening or hateful. Obviously, there's no profanity or anything like that. It's very nice letter that gets the point across about how we feel as a reptile community about this legislation. So you can literally copy and paste those letters, put your name in there, put your senator's address in there, and fire those off. I mean, get the phone numbers, call your senators. This legislation is super, super important. This new American Competes Act and what it will do to the reptile community and the reptile hobby. Thanks everybody for watching. 7 people. Brainstorm, Madam Star, and Soda Pop Fizz. I know you guys are in the chat. The other people watching, please comment in the chat so that I will know you guys are here, so I can give you a big thank you for tuning in. But yeah, everybody, please, even if you don't have the money, I know times are hard for people with COVID and stuff, but even if you can't belong to USARC, then please try to hit that website and get your information for your senators. And if you won't take your time, write your own letter, use your own wording, put your own thoughts down in that message to your local senator. And my senators suck too, and I know most of us probably do, but when they see 8, 9, 10, thanks Boy Gex. When they see 8, 9, 10 letters about this legislation, it might not have an impact, but when they see 2,000, 4,000, 5,000, 20,000 letters in their inbox or in their mailbox or messages on their voicemail from the reptile community, then that's going to make a difference. So even if these people suck, even the ones that suck at some point have to realize that their constituents have a different opinion, and hopefully they'll take that into account. That's what they're there for. That's what their job is. What I can best say about it is it cannot hurt. Like, it definitely cannot hurt. I did it. It took me 5 minutes to fire off the letters to my senators. So it definitely cannot hurt. And really, the USARC T-shirts they send you that are included with the $40 membership, they're badass T-shirts. I can't wait to proudly rock mine. And I will say I'm not expecting them to do any rush overnight delivery, but I have been waiting a little while for my T-shirt. So, and actually, I'm a Ted Cruz fan, so I like Ted Cruz. Sorry if you think he sucks. I mean, I do think he talks a lot and then doesn't do anything. He has a lot of hearings and then chews people out, and then that's all that happens. So, but I like his attitude. I like Ted's attitude. And he's done some questionable things, but haven't they all? But anyway, I don't want to get too far off on the politics or other things. But this legislation is important, though, guys. I mean, imagine this passes and some dummy in your state decides that bearded dragons should be outlawed because they could live out in the wild. And if you think because you and I know that animal can't live in the wild in your habitat, does not mean that the politicians or people in charge of making those rules are going to agree. When we had hearings in North Carolina before this Tegu ban, we actually had public hearings, and a lot of it was done through Zoom, but they had scientists and biologists from local universities literally give presentations that showed the average winter temperature over years in North Carolina, so that you could see not just in the past couple of years or whatever, that there was over hundreds of years the temperature range in our winters would be way too cold for tegus to survive. A lot of things to prove that tegus could not become invasive in North Carolina, but they still banned it. And there's been about 20 or 30 news stories either in public just paper newspapers, or either online small town public newspapers, or local news channels like Fox 8 or whatever it is where you live, that have had stories in North Carolina about wild tegu on the loose. Tegu terrorizes Wilson neighborhood. Like, it's ridiculous how every time there has been a tegu in North Carolina and it's been loose or been found out in the wild, the media paints it as like this crazy Jurassic Park experiment that's got out of the lab, that we all need to be, like, don't let your children out because there's a vicious tegu on the loose. And that's what drives the legislatures to pass these stupid laws and these stupid bans. They don't even care about the science. They care about what the public thinks about these animals, who for the large part are ignorant, unfortunately. But anyway, I have prattled on long enough. It is 10 o'clock. It's a 30-minute mark. Nobody seems to have any reptile questions. But you guys, please keep sharing the channel out. I can't thank you guys enough. When I started this like a year and a half ago, I told my brother and my mom and dad that I would be happy if I got 150, 200 subscribers. My goal for the first year was 500. I'm just past the year and a half mark, and we just broke 1,200 literally a couple of days ago. Carolina's rocking it out in the tournament. Tar Heel Exotics has done like my 6th Reptile Expo now. The Morph Market store has been around for a long time. We have nothing. I think I have 13 perfect, impeccable reviews on my Morph Market store. So hopefully Tar Heel Exotics will continue to grow. I cannot wait till I can get to the point where I can have monitor. I mean, I have an acre and a half behind my house that I can do whatever I want. And so I can't wait till I can have monitor enclosures out there, and black dragons and big tortoise boxed off areas like Camp Keenan has, and get maybe some other type of exotic animals, maybe some with fur, not all with scales like I have now, and just really be able to bring somebody else like Camp Keenan and Clint into the reptile hobby that has a lot of species, that brings it to you guys in a way that you get to see it and interact with them. Once the weather gets warm, we do the lives outside and show you guys the big enclosures that I'm going to build. So I don't have anything but big plans for this channel and for Tar Heel Exotics. I'd love to be somebody like those guys and have a really big, awesome facility here to show you guys and let you guys, follow the journey of all these amazing animals, and me along the way. So thank you guys, everybody who tuned in. I'm the Dragon Whisperer. Big shout outs to everybody who was here. See you guys next Sunday, and hope you guys, you and all your family, are well. And like always, remember that all things are small to a giant. Every day when you roll out of bed, be a giant, and therefore all things will be small to you. Be invincible. Live your life like you're a T-Rex. Nobody can mess with you. Thanks everybody. And hold on. 7-month-old dragon frequency from when he's a baby. How often should I be feeding? Usually I will keep the same frequency, like the protein, every day, every other day, and make sure they have salad available all the time. And but then once you hopefully you're monitoring their weight, weigh them at least every month. 2 weeks is even better, but once every month. And once you see that they're kind of stopping their growth, once you see that they're kind of evening out on their weight, it's usually about the 280 to 300 gram mark, they'll stop growing at that rate, and then their growth will really kind of slow down. That's when you want to change over to just giving them protein like once or twice a week. I do just once a week unless they're really skinny and you can see the hip bones there at the base of the tail. But yeah, at that point you can slow down to once or twice protein a week, and then salad 2 to 3 times a week. But you're shooting for that 280 to 300 gram mark. But if you're monitoring the weight, you'll notice when they kind of stop. You want to keep the protein high while they're growing, and then as soon as you see that growth is stopped and it's slow, then that's when you want to slow it down. Kind of like a human, you want to feed them a lot up until they're about 15 or 16. They still might grow a little bit from 15 or 16 to 18 years old, but you don't want to feed them as much of the protein. You want that growth to, kind of level off at that point. So, or they're going to get overweight. So I hope that helps you brainstorm. See you guys next weekend. This is Dragon Whisperer. I'm out.